Well, hey there, hi there, and most importantly, ho there, because it is time for the Smackdown review here on February 26th, 2021. And I'm back, folks. Feeling better, still on the mend. There's a bit of a tickle here that doesn't seem to want to go. There it is. Doesn't want to go away. But don't worry, because I got the throat coat with me tonight, folks. That is lovely tea. But thank you all so much for tuning in and watching the SmackDown review tonight. I just finished watching the Blues show as we barrel on toward Fastlane, and we're going to see how this show got on the what track it got on. Was it the right track? Was it the wrong track? Time will tell. Let's begin talking about, well, of course, as always, as is custom, the show opens with the Universal Champion Roman Reigns. And we get a recap of what happened in the Elimination Chamber. Roman calls what he did against Daniel Bryan on Sunday the most exciting ass whooping of the year, the decade even, talking about how Edge ruined his night and prevented it from being a perfect night by deciding to wrestle him at Mania. Roman giving Edge a chance to walk away. But someone who does not walk away and, in fact, walks toward the ring is Daniel Bryan. He tells Roman that what he did on Sunday, swooping in after the chamber match, was cowardly, and he wonders if Roman didn't wait until the end of the show for main event time because he knew he would give Bryan more time to recover. He says there have been a lot of comparisons between the two of them over the years, and he challenges Roman to a title match at Fastlane. Jey Uso butting in and saying Daniel's got to get in the back of the line, go through him first. Reigns with the distraction that allows Jey to jump him, throw him over the barricade, and he just presumably dies. I love how in this world, when you throw the guy over the barricade in Thunderdome, it's like a bottomless pit where it's like they're just gone. The camera doesn't ever follow down. Oh, how are they doing? Like in the crowd days, that's what you would get, right? They'd be thrown over the barricade. Camera would follow over them, seeing them writhing around the concrete floor. But here, for whatever reason, it's just like, nope, this area is not rendered. It's not loaded yet. This is part of the demo. We got to wait a few years for the patch to come in, and then you can see behind the barricade. I thought that was kind of a weird I don't know if flat's the word, but I thought it was a weird way to end it. Just like, oh, Daniel gets punked out, and like, yay, that music plays. Sets up the main event. Well, we have Pierce and Deville are chatting, and Edge walks in, and he's pissed that apparently Daniel Bryan might be getting a title shot. Like, good point, Edge, because yeah, Daniel's had like 2 shots now for the title, and now he has a chance to cut the line again. Jey Uso apologizing to Roman for speaking out of line again. That seems to be a recurring thing, and you'd think after a while Jey would know better. And back in Pierce's office, Adam tells Edge that if Daniel beats Uso tonight, then he will get a title match at Fastlane. Our first match of the evening sees a rematch from the week before when Chad Gable and Otis, who turned heel last week, never thought I'd see the day, taking on the Mysterios. He flattened Ray a couple of times, banged up his ribs. Seeing heel Otis, man, it's like I don't know if we've really gotten to the the full breadth of Otis's heel turn. I feel that like the dastardliness is still to come. There's more of that to happen. But this is an interesting little soft entrance for it. So this is kind of a shorter match. Nice wheelbarrow spot. Like my spot of the match here was Dominic doing this cool like spinning wheelbarrow spot to Gable, throwing him into the turnbuckle. That was really neat. Ray and Dominic with a double 619, but Otis breaking the pin, squashing Ray for the second week in a row, picking up the win. And good look for Otis in this relatively short match. Like I said, I still don't know what a heel Otis can truly do, but we shall have to see. Throat coat break. By the way, thanks everyone who's watching so far. We're at 130 some odd. Really appreciate that. And while I'm here, if you've not checked it out yet, go check out the video that dropped earlier today where I taste test some WWE wines. There's the Ultimate Warrior Zinfandel and the Undertaker Cabernet Sauvignon. And I realized I should have gotten the American Nightmare wine thrown in as well. I forgot about that. Maybe next time though. So anyway, go to our next match. Well, first we see Pollo Cruise show up, and he's got this new gear. It's like green and white. He has a scarf now. And then Apollo gives us a bit of a history lesson saying, I'm not from the hood. I'm not from suburbia. I'm from Nigeria. Which made me think of the line, Abraham Lincoln didn't die in vain. He died in Washington, D.C. 10 points for you if you get that reference. He talks about how he's descended from Nigerian royalty and how his grandfather was a powerful man, and the colors that he has now represent wealth and domination and power and everything. And when it comes to what he did to Big E last week, crushing him off camera with the steps, he says, you know, he didn't go back to catering. He went back to his roots. Apparently, Nigerian royalty are all about beating people up with steel steps. And then, like, Apollo suddenly adds an accent to his promo. I guess he was referencing his grandfather there. I don't know. Has he been like masking his accent? Does he have a natural accent? He's been masking this entire time. We didn't know about it. Like, was that like him breaking out of the cocoon? But that was, yeah, I thought that was interesting. Then Shinsuke interrupts him, Shinsuke Nakamura, and we have a rematch from last week between the two of them. And thank you everyone who picked up the Fire Sign Theater. You guessed correctly. So yeah, the match is okay. Shinsuke Shinsuke like counters a German suplex, but almost lands on his head. It's like pretty close to like landing right in his head, but he stops himself. It's another relatively brief match, though it is competitive. Cruise looking more aggressive here, hits a sweet angle slam to win the match. I like Apollo's new direction. It's really one of the highlights to me from this week's episode was just like the coronation, so to speak. Not, you know, no pun intended, because the whole descendant from royalty thing, but it is the coronation of the character of Apollo Crews and his new direction. I love the new gear. I think the colors just really pop, and I think it's a great little reference there to his history and his culture. That's really awesome. Yeah, I hope but at the same time, though, I do hope that Shinsuke gets more time to shine as the weeks go on and we head toward Mania, because right now it's like he and Cesaro right now don't seem to have some kind of, like, he and Seth and Cesaro don't seem to have any kind of like definitive or even clear, even opaque looking plan to go into Mania right now. But we'll see what happens with one of the segments later on. So we see Paul Heyman being the Iago to Roman's Jafar and saying, if Daniel Bryan loses, there's no title match. Our next thing is Tamina versus Liv Morgan. This is a pretty quick match here. Tamina and Natalya, by the way, are teaming up once again. The Welcoming Committee is back together, baby. The reunion you all wanted to see. I already forget who the third member was. It was Carmella, wasn't it? Wasn't it the third member of the Welcoming Committee? Liv gets beaten up a lot early on in this matchup here, makes a valiant big babyface comeback, but Tamina stops her, hits a Uranagi to win. And so there you go. So we're getting the return, the revival, the whatever of Tamina. Nobody is Mina. Bianca Belair. This is what you came to see. This is what the thumbnail said. Bianca Belair making her decision as to who she's going to face at WrestleMania, because she won the Rumble match. Gosh golly gee, based on how they've been telling the story the last 3 or 4 weeks, I wonder what's going to happen. So you've got Sonya and Adam Pearson there to kind of facilitate it. And like, will you pick this video package or this video package? And Bianca with the complete, well, actually, before she makes her decision, Reginald, the Somalian sommelier, shows up, tells her not to challenge Sasha Banks because then Bianca will be a loser at WrestleMania. And Sasha shows up, tells Reggie not to speak for her again, then tells Banks to choose her because she wants to prove that she's the best, or she wants to say she is. Yeah. And so Bianca says she's going to make her eat those words at WrestleMania, points to the sign, and pyro explodes. And that's how we knew it. I mean, we all knew it was going to happen. I think it was pretty obvious based on the way they've been telling that story for the last few weeks. That's where she was going to go, because it sure would have come out of nowhere if Asuka should. No, actually, you know what? I'm gonna pick Asuka now, and she's like, "What? Okay, I guess we're gonna do this." So, yeah, interested in seeing where Reggie will fit into all this. Will he fit into this as we go on? Like, what's going on? Where's Carmella? I seem to have missed that. I know I didn't watch last week, but maybe that would explain why I don't know where Carmella is. Throat coat. Backstage, Sami Zayn talking to his tag team partner for the evening, King Corbin, and he said he asked for these two to team up together because together there's no stopping him. My brains and your brawn were unstoppable, and Corbin agrees, even though he doesn't care much for Sami and especially his documentary crew. There's a story there. Later on, you'll see our next match is the Street Profits versus Zayn and Corbin, and the tag champs Rudolph are watching backstage with their own solo cups, and you bet your biscuit I got a screen grab of that for a future pay-per-view review. The camera crew gets in the way of Corbin a couple of times here. My favorite part of this match is when Corbin does his gimmick where he slides out and in and like gets stopped by the camera crew. Like he's like, get out of the way, which is great because that's never, I don't think it's ever happened before. Like no one ever stops him midway through that stupid thing. And I always think it's one of the goofiest parts of his arsenal. One of the most unnatural things that he does. So to see that kind of get upended the way it did, I thought was pretty hilarious. And then on the outside, like they're filming him. And you're too close, man. Dylon got pissed. King Dylon got pissed. And so great spot where Ford dives over Sami Zayn, clears him to the outside to land on Corbin. And then cool, like double underhook spinning neckbreaker by Ford to Zayn. They're like, I don't know what you call that. Call it the end. And then big frog splash. Street Profits win. Good regaining of heat for the Profits, who haven't really been on TV that much lately, as they try and no doubt stay in contention for the tag belts. And then we see backstage Caleb Braxton with Daniel Bryan, who says his chances of beating Roman with the title are greater than Edge's chances. And of course, Edge just happens to walk in. At least, Daniel got to say some words before there was a promo interruption. And so, yeah, Edge is like, so hypothetically speaking, if you beat Roman and we have our title match at Mania, who do you think wins that one? And Daniel keeps that answer to himself. Seth Rollins, the impeccably dressed Seth Rollins, not a messiah. I still consider him to be some kind of weird, like tech head or CEO. Embrace the vision. Doesn't feel that long. Sorry, I jumped ahead of my notes there. But Seth doesn't go very long, though, before an angry Cesaro tries to track him down. Seth calms him, though, tries to really hype or Cesaro up for how good he is and how talented he is. But he says, but if you're so good, why do you keep coming up short? It's because you lack the killer instinct. And Seth wants to try and get Cesaro to join him. Basically, I'll teach you the killer instinct. Join me, and together we will rule SmackDown as, supervisor and lackey. Cesaro takes him down, gives Seth the swing, and Cesaro. I'm going to be getting Seth and Cesaro switched up like all night. What the hell? But Rollins is selling him. It was great. I know he's got the microphone. Don't do it. Put me down. I thought it would have been great if he was able to keep the mic close to him as he's like selling the swing, and you just hear him going, like put me down. That would have been funny as well. We didn't get quite that, but hearing Seth make some noise was also very entertaining. And that was that. That looks to be Cesaro's next program. I gotta admit, I kind of wished he was in a better position than he is right now, but at least the matches will be good. I mean, can't go wrong with a Mania season program with Rollins. I don't know if it's going to carry over to WrestleMania, but I don't know where else would really go. But yeah, nice to see Cesaro having a singles pay-per-view feud. I just saw a tweet from Sean Ross Sapp that he's only had 14 ever since being in WWE. That's a very small number for as long as he's been there. So hopefully it will carry over to Mania. We get our main event of the evening. That's a shout out to Champ from Slammed. One of the best wrestling movies of all time, folks. Check out the review. Main event time, Daniel Bryan versus Jey Uso. And so to reiterate, if Daniel wins, he gets a title match at Fastlane. And if he loses, then I guess we're going to get that Edge and Daniel Bryan versus Roman and Jey tag match instead. Doesn't feel too long ago we had this match already, like a couple of times, I feel like we've seen this at least a few times since like Daniel's been back on a regular basis. I'm also, because of that, I'm kind of surprised we've not seen the Bloodline adding another member, another like lackey to do Roman's dirty work instead of just it being Jey Uso. Does that mean maybe Jimmy comes along? Do they add somebody else who's not a blood relative? Who's to say? But I mean, I think that like at a certain point, I would expect them to add like one other person. Like, doesn't it make sense? Like kind of have like Jay teaming with somebody while Roman does the singles work. So just thinking out loud there. The match in here, you see Uso working Daniel's knee a lot. The match ends, though, at a double count out. Jay preventing Daniel from getting back in the ring. But as soon as they get back in the ring, Daniel gets the yes lock on him. Roman Reigns runs in and attacks him. Hits the spear, gets the guillotine locked in. And that's how we end the show, him standing tall. Disappointing to see a count out in a main event, though it does play into the story. So I guess we get a tag match at Fastlane. Like when we get that match though, like what's the hook gonna be for Edge and Daniel Bryan? Like what's their story going to be? Because we know what Jay and Roman's gonna be like. That dynamic is solid, but Like, what exactly is Daniel's motivation for even being in this match and winning or trying to win if he knows that like Edge is the first person, he's the person getting the shot? He's not. Like, are we going to see some random like dissension for a team that doesn't? I don't know. It just feels weird to me. But yeah, we'll have to see what happens, I guess. But yeah, I think that it was kind of a flat way to end the show. And if I do say so myself, I'm just going to give the grade right here. And you can read the grade while I have another sip of throat coat. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a boring show to me. Like, there was only a couple things that I really like. They gave me a spark. Like Apollo Cruz's new attitude, his new look, I thought was great. And like in general, like building things to Fastlane, it feels like it's on a good track, and it feels like, oh, you can definitely see like this is the match. Here's a match that they're making. Here's a match they're making, and so I appreciated that. But I feel the rest of the show is like it was good to see like multiple matches, like a lot of shorter matches tonight. But I feel you got to see a lot of people, which is I think a good trade off if you have a lot of these more frequent shorter matches and everything. So it's just it's the trade you take, but this was like definitely a week of just building the TV world. That was pretty much it. Like a little bit of Fastlane as well. So yeah, I kind of walked away from this one just going like, there you go. Like that sure was an episode of wrestling, wasn't it? So that was my take on it. What are your thoughts? What do you think? What grade would you give it? And yeah, from there, I guess we can go on to the super chats. We've got to I don't know how long I'm going to do this, because as you can tell, my voice is still kind of like trying to push it through and not cough too much. Hence the throat coat. Here we go. Let's see if I can pull some of these up on the scroll. On the scrolly scroll. Here we go. Niall Witherspoon, $9.99 super chat. Who do I think Asuka's opponent will be for WrestleMania? I mean, the chat is saying obviously Charlotte, and I tend to agree. Like, I don't know who else it would be right now. Like, yeah, there's really no other person on Raw who's like remotely able to do it, unless they want to just jump Rhea Ripley up there and try and force something. But I don't think they can do that. They shouldn't have to do that. I think they can have Rhea Ripley come up probably like after Mania, I'm betting, or maybe right after Fastlane and heading into Mania. But we'll have to see. That's the only other person I could possibly think of to face Asuka, but it's probably going to be Charlotte. About how to get to that point, time will tell. Quote the Raven 79, $4.99. Isn't it hypocritical for hating Lesnar for not wrestling on free TV, but loving Roman's current character when he's pretty much the same now? I wouldn't say it's one-to-one, and I think there is a level of hypocrisy that can be, like that plays into his character. Like, but he's not like Lesnar in the sense that, Roman does, he's there. He may not wrestle every week, but he's there and he's like showing up, which is more than can be said about Brock Lesnar. And as silly as that build was, and as hard as it was for Roman to try and gain the support of the people, like that was one of the only things he could hang his hat on. It was like, at least he's there, and Lesnar, wasn't. And so I think Roman is definitely, he's not like Brock in that sense. So, and like, I don't know if I hated Lesnar for not wrestling on TV. I think it was more of an appearing on TV. I don't think the champion has to wrestle every week. If the plot requires it, he doesn't have to. That's my thought on that. But thank you, quote the Raven. Striker Omega, no comment, but $10. Thank you. David Matushek, $4.99. After Apollo's heel turn, do you think they should stick to going to people's roots instead of negative stereotypes? That's a bit of a deep question. I don't know. First of all, I will say, isn't it sad that like the only things that we find joy in more often than not in our wrestling is like when, at least in WWE, is when somebody turns heel and they have their big explanation, like, oh, it all makes sense. Yay, we love you now, even though we're supposed to boo you. Nothing makes sense. So yeah, it's sad. Like whenever, because whenever somebody turns heel, that's when they gain a personality. And like, I feel in WWE, that's their biggest problem. But I guess, should every single wrestler who turns heel, who's of a different ethnicity, like always go back to their roots? No, I don't think so. Like, I don't think that every wrestler should do that, because then it's no longer special. I don't think, in fact, I don't think anyone should do that for a while in WWE. If that's Apollo's thing, like going back to my roots as, my Nigerian royalty, don't have anyone else do that. Like, don't have anyone else say, I'm a descendant of da 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 da. No, don't do that. Like, it's got to be Apollo's thing, in my opinion. What? Stryker did ask this question, even though he didn't pay for this one. I'll just answer this one. Why does Reginald have his own music in Tron now? Because he's a part of the fabric of the show. He's part of the WWE universe. Bob Calamardo, 99 cents. Super chat, thank you. Excuse me. Breathed in a little too hard. Ken terminated by DQ, $5. You may not believe me, but I'm extremely ecstatic that your health is getting better. How is your health? Is it 100%? Clearly not 100%, because I've been suppressing some coughs, folks. You would not believe the internal strife and turmoil happening right now in my throat for the last 21 minutes. By the way, thank you to the almost 300 people who are watching this stream tonight. Very much appreciated. Let's see here. Heisen Saul, $5. What is my reason for picking a pay-per-view in the classic segment? Is it what I feel like, or something more, or is it what people want on Patreon? It's, well, first of all these shows are nominated by folks on Patreon, and I always promise people that you may not see it right away, but it's on the list, and therefore it will happen. I am bound by my code of ethics that I will review it at some point. It's just like I'm doing it every 2 weeks, and there's a million friggin' shows that have been nominated. So it's going to be a while to get through a lot of those. As far as how I pick my shows, it, can depend on what time of year it is. Like, because it's, WrestleMania season. We'll review WrestleManias, obviously, stuff like that. But I mean, there are so many other WrestleManias that are nominated. It doesn't make sense to just keep it locked into that part of the year. So like I kind of sprinkle a couple of more manias occasionally, and same thing with the bigger shows as well. Like I just felt like doing a run like at the end of the year where it was like, let's do the end of WCW and just make that a serial. Because before that I was just kind of hopping around the timeline with no real rhyme or reason. So I like to do more of those. I like to do some more like threads of what I've not done yet. And like by doing No Way Out 01 this past week, it was this week, actually. I said it, boy, the days just, they melt together. But yeah, that was like, I don't know if I want to go back and like watch, like, because it's like, I think it went from like Survivor Series 01 to WrestleMania 17, or Survivor Series 2000 to WrestleMania 17. So I've done all those shows just completely out of order. And I don't know if I want to go back and try and watch them in order to see if they make sense, because I feel like I've gotten better, obviously, at reviewing them through time. So there's going to be some, like, definitely some details missing. But yeah, it's a combination of like what I feel like, what time of year it is, how many times a show has been nominated. I'm trying to bang out a lot of like shows that have just been nominated by a ton of people. Because I got to give the people what they want. Tyler Joseph Smith, $5. Just want to say I love your content despite our political differences. Yeah, don't go to my Twitter if you don't want to. If you don't like getting mad at my stance on things. Would you say the network has been a failure due to the Peacock merger? I wouldn't, because I think that WWE is getting paid a fair amount for that, so I wouldn't call it a failure. Like, they put money in, they're getting more money out, and that's capitalism. I think it's disappointing that the network can't be its own standalone thing. I can't think of any other sports streaming services or like just like focused channels that are being merged by other things that I find it's like, I wonder what the end game of that is. But if they think they're gonna make more money on it, like, then I guess that's why they did it. That's capitalism, baby. Let's see here. Oh, shit. Jumped ahead in the scrollies. On the scrollies. What the happened to the chat? Here we go. I went way out of place. Parker Soul saying $5. Gee, I bet Jimmy Uso is just loving sitting at home rehabbing his injury these last months. Is that what happened to Jimmy? I don't listen to the backstage scuttlebutt, so I have no idea where Jimmy Uso is. If he's injured, that makes sense. I'd like to see him eventually rejoin like TV and see where that goes with Jay and stuff. Will he be able to talk Jay out of it, or will he just fall in line? There's a bit of potential with that one for sure. Love it. So you're Devin Tingle, $5. Where I got that glorious shirt. And for those of you who can't see, this is the shirt I got here. Fruity, yummy, yete. And there's like a million references on this. It says, Sullivan, my son, 7'8", bigger than the giant. Look at the size of the yete. And then my favorite part says, it's not hot. It's like a cereal. I actually got this from a Wrestling Secret Santa a couple of years ago. And I think it's from luchalibre.com. Don't quote me on that, but that's, I think, where it came from. Heisenstall again. Do I think Ken Shamrock was a bad King of the Ring winner or just wasted potential? I think it's the latter of the two. I think just where Ken Shamrock was in that part of his career and how over he was when he won and how people loved seeing him beat The Rock. Like, that was a long rivalry in 98 too, by the way. It was Rock and Shamrock. But yeah, I think it was like they struck at just the right time for him. And I think that he was over, and I think he really could have. I think Ken's problem was, I think he was born a little bit too early. I think if he was around or hit his prime, like in that area in the early 2000s as Rock and Austin are cycling out, then I think that Shamrock could have had a lot more potential. I think the main event scene in WWF at the time he was hot was just way too packed, and there was no room for him, which happens sometimes. And I think that's what we're seeing with a lot of people, like in today's wrestling. People are always saying, oh, this person should get a push, that person should da-da-da. Like, there's only so many spots available, and like you can't just keep like cycling them in and out every week, otherwise those spots aren't special. And that's a whole thing. CC, $7 Canadian. Thank you, CC. Bezo Banks. I love the black wrestlers on Twitter showing the fist for Bianca and Banks. Yeah, that's right. It would be the first main event for WrestleMania where both competitors are black. That's really cool. Yeah, I've been seeing people talk about this, and I echo the sentiment that Sasha and Bianca should main event night 1, and Roman and Edge should main event night 2. I think it's very interesting. I can't remember the last time like both of the Rumble winners have challenged like one show. In this case being SmackDown. And that's great for SmackDown. I think that's great for them. And just like, man, it's really hard to like, again, it makes it even murkier as to what's going to happen with Raw right now. They really got like the short end or the more complicated end of the story building for WrestleMania, I would say. And yes, it will be a good match. Josh Woodrum, $5. Thank you. Joshua Lasso, $5. If I could only watch one match forever, what match would it be? Like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of matches I could watch again and again. There aren't that many, honestly. Like, Hell in a Cell, 98 is one. Stadium Stampede is one I could watch again and again. I'm trying to think. I don't know. Those are the ones that come to mind, honestly. Like Angle and Lesnar, Mania 19 is always one of my personal favorites. If I could include all of Talking Shop-A-Mania 1, I would probably do that one. I think that was a stronger Talking Shop-A-Mania than 2, honestly. Those are my picks. Oh, Farts Piggy 66, $4.99. What do you think about a tag division where the teams are much looser, kind of like Freebird, but outside of stables too? I mean, I've always thought like a 6-man tag would be cool, or there was a period of time where I thought a 6-man tag title in WWE would be cool, because for a while there was like a glut of 3-man teams, and they really have a big boner for 3-man teams in that company, where it's like you see stables form and they're almost never more than 3 people. Undisputed Era only has 4 members, or did, because out of necessity, because Roderick Strong was because Bobby Fish was hurt and Roderick Strong came in to fill in. So in an alternate timeline, it would still be 3 people. So yeah, I think there should be like a 6-man belt or something. But yeah, we could do, I guess stable division as well, like 4-man teams. Why not? I say, hang on, the scroll reset again. Kogan Sperry, $5. What are matches that disappointed you given the talent involved? And don't say Goldberg Lesnar at WrestleMania. You know what match I thought was kind of a disappointment was AJ and Shinsuke at WrestleMania, and every fucking match they had after that for that whole feud, because I feel like I knew they weren't going to be able to match what they did at Wrestle Kingdom. Like, that's an impossible task. I think they were fine, but it's like, there were a lot better matches at WrestleMania 34. It's all I'll say. And so for that one to be not one of the best ones, I was pretty disappointed about that. And right now, that's the only one. I'm sure if I sat down and thought about it, like, that would be I could come up with some more of them. But that's a big one for me, honestly, is AJ and Shinsuke. That one could have been much better. And then the whole feud could have been much better, honestly. But no, it was just revolving around fucking dick shots for weeks. Daniel Stack, any plans to review Foxcatcher or some other movies like Legendary, The Naked Man? Hold that thought. You mean this? The Naked Man starring Michael Rappaport? Yeah, I have this on VHS. I've not been able to rip it yet. I don't know. I got to watch it and see if it's any good or it's worth talking about. Like, Foxcatcher, that's like, that's legit wrestling. That's mat wrestling. I don't know if that's not what to make jokes about. Yeah, this horrific tragedy where this crazy person killed some wrestlers at his estate. Legendary, maybe, because I think that's like a WWE Productions, isn't it? Legendary. So that might happen one day. Naked Man's a possibility, but we will see. Thank you, though, Daniel. Parker again. Apollo's heel turn, changing his name to Apollo Cruise and dipping to Cancun. Points for you, Parker. Yes. Well, I think, yeah, it'd be great if you had some kind of character who was like, I don't know, who did something where there was some kind of just tone deaf reaction to something like horrible happening. Like, I don't know, like Big E getting hurt by the steel steps. And then you got somebody like, I just bought a bunch of stocks in Steel Step Incorporated. I don't fucking know. I'm flying by the seat of my pants here. But have somebody who kind of capitalizes or does kind of a tone deaf thing while others suffer. It could happen. Miguel Zarate, $10. What episode are you excited for Dark Side of the Ring Season 3? Oh, they confirmed Collision in Korea. I think what other episodes they've announced or they're going to be doing. Like, isn't there a Pillman episode? I don't know. I've not done a very close look. On what's on the docket for that season. So yeah, but Collision in Korea sounds like it'll be a very interesting show. I love Dark Side of the Ring. It's great stuff. Faux show. Let's see here. Ken once again. Since my name is Ken, what the hell? I like Shamrock, but he lacked charisma. At least Kurt Angle is tough, good worker, and funny as hell. Yeah, I would agree. I think like that's an easy. That is not a controversial thing to say. That Kurt Angle is a better rounded performer than Shamrock was. Shamrock just didn't have the mic skills and couldn't be a kind of guy who you could say was like a fountain of charisma. But yeah, I think I'm not saying he should have been the champion. I'm not saying he should have been given a role similar to Angle's. There's only one Kurt Angle, honestly. But I think that. Yeah, I think Shamrock should have been given more of a chance. It was a matter of timing and circumstance for him. David Gaynor, do I think WWE is wasting Bobby Lashley instead of having him be a main title holder contender and not having him in a program with Lesnar? Well, I would say stay tuned because we don't know what's going to happen between now and Mania. They could bring Lesnar back. There's been a lot of people theorizing and churning the rumor mill saying Lesnar could be involved in making a triple threat like he, Drew, and Apollo. Like, will that happen? I kind of hope not. I'm over Lesnar, honestly. Like, he used to be my favorite guy back in his prime, but like, I'm just kind of over him fucking Thanosing his way through things and saying and being inevitable. It's been nice to go like a year without Lesnar and just be cool with it, honestly. And I don't think they're wasting Lashley. I think they're putting him in this really cool spot right now, where he is on the peripheral, and he could be close to getting the championship. I'm not saying he's going to get it on Monday, but it'd be kind of cool. Like, let's have some more shocking stuff happen. Get people talking. Get Lashley to be the champion. Why not, man? Like that. Like, I think that'd be cool, honestly. Josh Woodrum, $5. Had this debate on Facebook. Cena, Flair, bigger mainstream star. I say Cena. Well, yeah. I mean, and you're comparing two very different eras of what wrestling really is all about. Cena, obviously, I think is the bigger mainstream star because he broke out and did more things. And, you know, the company he was working for had a much larger reach on the market than the NWA and WCW did in Flair's prime. So yeah, mainstream, absolutely. And then there's people, you know, I've said this as well to an extent, but there's people who argue that Flair has influenced a lot of like hip hop stuff today because of his drip, as the kids say. But I mean, that's a real stretch. I would definitely argue that Cena is the more mainstream guy by a mile or three. Hang on, where is this? Kogan Spory. It's Russian. Well, I say. Thank you, Kogan. Daniel Stack. Do I have any non-wrestling comedy influencers? Yeah, my biggest comic influences are Weird Al and Patton Oswalt, off the top of my head. And other favorite comedians include guys like Mitch Hedberg and who am I listening to lately? John Mulaney. His stand-up is great, I think. Yeah, there's a lot of people like wrestling's not the only thing I focus on. I'll say that much. And yeah, I've been a big Weird Al fan since I was, God, as long as I can remember, like 3rd or 4th grade is when I first got into Weird Al. And pretty much been a fan ever since, with like one minor dip where I just wasn't listening to him as much. I kind of passed on the entire Alpocalypse phase. Let's see here. Ramon Holly. What is your avatar? Oh, it's like chicken and rice. What is that? It's okay. There you go. Whatever floats your boat. Do I think Cesaro will get a chance in the main event based on his recent work? I mean, yeah, he seems to be kind of one of those guys they're testing things with, and I wouldn't be surprised if after WrestleMania they put him in a program like to tide over between like then and SummerSlam. It's possible. I'd like to see it. Will he give him the belt? Who knows, though. Jacob Donnelly. Out of curiosity, what match am I most looking forward to at Revolution? I think every match has the potential to be like really, not the match of the night, but definitely like I'm intrigued by a lot of them. I'm intrigued to see how they're going to handle the street fight and what Sting's going to look like in that capacity. Team Taz versus he and Darby Allin. I'm really curious to see how they pull off the exploding barbed wire death match in the main event. I think Jericho MJF, the Young Bucks, has the potential to be great. Curious to see how MJF and Jericho work as fast a pace as the Young Bucks like to work. So yeah, I mean, like there's a lot of matches from Revolution I'm like definitely interested in, and can't wait to see what they do with them. But yeah, especially like street fight and exploding barbed wire death match are the two for me. Heisen Saul, have I seen Wrestling Bios Reliving the Monday Night War series? It's really well done. No, I've not. And I've said this before. I try not to watch too much other wrestling YouTube, mostly because I don't want to see them doing something and go, oh, well, now that's going to sit in my subconscious for months. And then when I come up with an idea similar to it, I'll be thinking too much of their jokes. I got to no, I can't do that. So it's mostly out of fear of accidentally stealing a joke, basically, is the reason I don't watch YouTube and many of the wrestling YouTubers. But I'm not seeing that stuff. I like Wrestling Bios stuff, though. What I have seen of it. Let's see here. Golly, that is some good tea. Am I missing any? I think I'm all caught up on the super chats. And thank you all who've been contributing. Thank you very much. I guess while I'm here, for those of you who have not spent your money, I will say that if you go, oh, God bless it. Can I lose this now? Thank you. ProWrestlingTees.com/wrestlingwithregret is just been updated. I finally have got the old NWO style regret shirt available for sale. And that is, that's already a hot seller. That's already been moving. People, because that was the first shirt that I hadn't made. And I back in the day, I used to have to mail it out personally because Pro Wrestling Tees was like, oh, you can't you can't sell that because it's a parody of a intellectual property, or it's a parody of this trademark thing, which is bullshit. Because like after they told me that, like every week I would see somebody else post, here's my like Raw's War logo parody, here's my NWO logo parody. I'm like, this is bullshit. I know Matt Nix is in good with pro wrestling tees, but if he can get a PWO shirt, a Purple World Order shirt, then surely I can get a Wrestling with Regret NWO style t-shirt. And so, yeah, that's why I think it's going to be, yeah, I'm glad that I was able to get through that time. So go check that out, prowrestlingtees.com/wrestlingwithregret. And I guess while we're at, you can also get this sweet shirt, the Select Character shirt. It's inspired by the Turtles in Time Select screen. And you can see 6 of my most popular side characters. There's Vacant, Mike the Maleficent Love Machine, Quattro Fontaine, and many more at prowrestlingtees.com/wrestlingwithregret. Let's see here. We got one more super chat, and we are going to wrap it up after that. Where did it go? There it is. Here we go. This is our last one. Eduardo Morales, $9.99. What's the story behind Triple H? Because we don't want to name him specifically. Making appearances on some of my videos. The guy who runs the channel is my boss. Well, yeah, if you want to go back to the origins of Triple H as a Dr. Claw-esque side character on this channel, you can always go to my episode on Eddie Guerrero and Eddie Exploitation. That was where I debuted the character. Technically, it was the episode before that ended the previous season. But yeah, after that, it's just been kind of a recurring thing. And he used to be the harbinger of the new seasons. He would always close out the seasons like with some new assignment or whatever. And then after a while, he just became kind of like a rival of mine in this world where he will repeatedly show up and just try and torment me with like, he is the Mads to my Joel Hodgson, where he'll send me the bad storylines and things and I have to review them. And yeah, I like, you know, I have fun with that character. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, he takes credit for NXT because that's his baby. He's the one who's building the future of WWE. Yeah, so I think we're gonna wrap that up here. I've got to head back inside, back into the main homestead because my wife and I gotta watch WandaVision. We gotta catch up to that stuff. So thank you all so much for watching this week's SmackDown review, and thank you so much for your super chats. My Servo and Crow, by the way, that belt might be Servo and that belt might be Crow. I don't know. I need to make them animatronic as well. That'll be the next thing. But folks, thank you so much for watching the SmackDown review. Stay tuned for next week. The Wednesday video is going to be top 8 worst big men. So start thinking about what's going to be on that list and make your picks, and lots more things as well. If you liked the wine tasting video, if you like the wine tasting video from today, in 2 weeks, there will be another taste test that's happening. Very different product, but I think hopefully you'll enjoy that video as well. As you can hear, my voice is starting to die, so the timing for me to wrap this up is perfect. Always remember, the influencer loves ya. I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time. Have a great weekend, everybody.